Hello, magnificent human. My name is Maria Elise, and I wrote The Realm of Unity. And today I want to talk about your body as self healing technology. Your body is delicately calibrated to self heal. And we are not taught this. Instead, we are told that we are somehow deficient and broken from the moment we come out of the womb, that we are genetically programmed to get sick. And many of you may already know that I have been involved in the health and wellness field for several decades. I started out as a massage therapist. I went to acupuncture school and became a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist. I studied hypnotherapy. I studied nutrition. I studied Western herbs as well. I studied trauma healing. And I went to nursing school after all of that, and I've worked in a hospital for the past 10 years as a labor and delivery nurse. I have helped people with diabetes, high blood pressure, and well, I could go on and on. Needless to say, I have thought a lot about health and bodies. I also taught anatomy and physiology for over a decade to hundreds of students, as well as natural healing. So I used to read anatomy books just for fun, and physiology books just for fun. So I know quite a bit about the body, and feel very confident in this proclamation. And so I want to talk about some of the things that just give you a little physiology lesson to just help you understand the body at a deeper level. So I'm going to share with you some specifics. So the windpipe, which is also known as the trachea, is the pathway that our breath goes in and out from our lungs, out our mouth and nose. And our trachea is lined with tiny little hairs called cilia. And embedded in the lining of the trachea are little cells called goblet cells that generate mucus into the lung, into the windpipe, into the trachea. And so every day, every breath we take, we are inhaling, dust and particles and pollutants from the air. And one of the ways our body tries to keep us healthy is by generating mucus and using those cilia to push the mucus up, which captures all those toxins and will move it up and out into the mouth, so we can either spit it out, cough it out, or usually swallow it, and then it comes out the other end. So our lungs are constantly trying to protect us from inhaling toxins from the environment by pushing it out through coughing and creating mucus. Another process in the body is when we break bones. So every time we are doing exercise, we are like pounding on the pavement for walking or biking or running, and we create little mini fractures in our bones. And what that does is it stimulates your body to come in and eat up old bones. So these little cells called osteoclasts that break down the old bone, and then osteoblasts come in and they actually secrete a kind of cement, and they create strong bones. This is one of the ways that exercise helps us build strong bones, is any old bone tissue gets broken down through the force of the exercise on our body. And so then the cells come in and build new bone. So it's another amazing process. Another one is neuroplasticity in our brains. We have billions of neuronal connections, and these are where our network of neurons, which are nerve cells, they put out they create connections and signals. And so it's kind of, think about it as like a tree. So you have this long process called an axon, and then you have all these little dendrites coming off of it that can create a network of neuronal connections that actually can create pathways in our brain. So as we learn new things, as we think new ways, as we develop new habits, we are constantly creating new neuronal pathways. And so from that, our patterns of thinking, our patterns of acting, all are constantly building basically a new us. So we are constantly recreating ourselves through these neural network. It's called neuroplasticity. We have this powerful way of rewiring our brain. I know Joe Dispenza talks about this, and he's amazing if you want to dive deeper into this. And there's other New Thought leaders who are going into this in a much greater detail. But these are just 3 examples of thousands of examples of how our body is constantly changing and working to heal us. And so you might be thinking, well, if my body's constantly working to heal itself, why am I so sick, right? Why are so many people so sick? Let me give you some scary statistics. I had to look them up. So cancer, in the United States right now, 18.6 million people are living with a cancer diagnosis. 32 million people have diabetes. 50 million people are dealing with arthritis, which is an inflammation in the joints. 77 million people have high blood pressure. 101 million people, that's about a third of the United States, are obese. 54 million people have depression, 5.8 million people have heart disease, and about 15 million people have autoimmune disease. So you can see we're not doing a very good job supporting the body in self-healing. The way to support the body in self-healing is to give the body what it needs. Our body is constantly trying to heal itself. So one of the things we're dealing with in this world is a lot of toxic poison. If you go down this rabbit hole, it can be quite alarming because you will see that they are, unfortunately, everywhere. We have chemicals in our water, in our air, in our soil, in our food, in our sheets, in our clothing, in our hair products, in our skincare products, in our bath tissue. The list just goes on and on and on, and it can be discouraging to go down that rabbit hole when you see all of the chemical toxins that we are dealing with on a daily basis. And our body is desperately trying to get rid of those toxins. And so, every day when we breathe in, eat, or are exposed to those toxins, our body has a myriad of ways of releasing those toxins. So it will release it through, if it's a lot, all at once, it will be quite violent in the form of vomiting or diarrhea. But over time, we can build up toxins and have like a cold or a flu, where our body is trying to release those toxins through lots of mucus, through coughing it out, through sneezing it out, through pooping it out, through sweating it out. Our body will generate a fever. There's a little organ in the brain called the hypothalamus, which is like a tiny little thermostat that when the body needs to get rid of something, our body can actually turn up that thermostat in order to generate a fever. And in my training, when I trained as a holistic health practitioner, we were trained that a fever is one of the most helpful and healing things that can happen to your body, because it is your body turning up the thermostat, forcing you to rest because you'll be tired, and it will sweat out all those toxins. So same thing, same kind of process when you go into like a sweat lodge or into a sauna. It feels so good because your body can actually release and push out a lot of those toxins that we're encountering on a daily basis. And so getting rid of those toxins is really, really important to our health and our healing. One of the things that I find disturbing about Western medicine is how we see those processes of trying to get rid of toxins as the problem in of itself. And so as you'll see, that Western medicine will suppress the cough, it will bring down your fever, it will stop the nausea and vomiting, it will stop the diarrhea. We have all the medicines to do all these things, but I think it's wise to ask, why would we stop a process that the body is naturally trying to do to heal itself? Why would we want to stop that? Because the body is trying to get rid of something. The body's trying to release something. So why would we want to stop it? Because then what happens is those, whatever it is the body's trying to get rid of, stays in the body. And there is a lot of evidence that these rises in chronic illnesses and diseases are connected to this increase in toxic waste that is building up in our bodies as we shut down the body's natural ability. So I'm making this video to help encourage you to give your body what it needs to heal. I'll share with you my own personal story. When I was in college, I got a really severe flu every year, and I would take Theraflu and NyQuil to manage the symptoms. And I would feel awful for about a week, and then kind of feel a little bit better. And one day I just had the thought, like, I don't want to take that medicine. I'm just going to let my body do what it needs to do. And when I finally stopped taking that medicine, I let it pass. It was a little bit more severe, and I had a few more days or I didn't feel well, but I let my body do what it needed to do. And after that, it was many years before I got sick again. And it was a good demonstration for me to realize that my body just was trying to do something, and it needed to heal, and it needed to purge whatever was in there that was trying to come out. So now in my life, I'm very grateful when I get a fever, because I feel that it was my body doing what it needs to do. I'm always very grateful, and I will even exaggerate it by getting into a warm bath or a hot tub to exaggerate the fever so that I can sweat it out. And I always feel better after. I choose not to take Western medicine unless I'm absolutely in crisis where I don't feel like I can manage on my own. And that's where I think the magic of Western medicine is, in a crisis or trauma situation or an emergency situation. It's very useful. But on a daily basis, personally, I don't find it helpful. In fact, I'm concerned about the implications that what we're doing, honestly. So what does a body need to heal? Most of this is going to be pretty obvious, so I will state the obvious. Clean water, healthy food, sleep, high quality sleep, time in nature, and decreasing stress. So we have not just physical toxins, but we also have emotional toxins. And so being in a toxic relationship, toxic thoughts and patterns of thinking, Having trauma in our life can have a tremendously damaging impact on our body. And so we want to avoid traumatic situations in our life. Of course, we can't always avoid trauma, but if we do have a trauma, we want to get support so that we can release it so it doesn't stay caught in our body. So when I say toxins, I also refer to psychological toxins as being almost more impactful in our body, because those we know from many, many different mind-body studies about the impact of psychological toxins and trauma, and especially ongoing trauma when you have a toxic relationship. And so it's really important to purge any people from your life, assuming you're an adult and you are capable of walking away. It's important to separate yourself from situations that are highly toxic to your system, and you will know because they make you feel horrible. And so as we give the body what it needs, the sleep and the good food, we can actually start to heal. And obviously this is very simplistic, and I know there may be people out there dealing with chronic illnesses who are doing all those things, who are still working with it, and there are deeper layers. And I just want to acknowledge that there's actually a mystery on some level to illnesses. And I do believe in deeper spiritual / karma / just life choice for learning. I wouldn't presume to know what it is for you. Each and every person has to find that out for themselves. So I do not in any way wish to minimize anybody's pain or illness. And so, because we're all on our own journey, and each person has to find their way for themselves. But I do believe strongly that if, as a world, we focused on some very foundational things, we could actually improve the health of the world. If we took even a fraction of the money that we spend on on bombs and harming people on the other side of the world, and if we took that money and instead spent it on clean water and healthy food, and helping to decrease stress, and helping people to manage their finances so that people felt more happy and comfortable in their life, that we could actually change the world overnight. We could alter the healthcare system for the better. And so I, for one, would like to see in my lifetime the healthcare system transformed. Because actually the word healthcare system, what we currently call the healthcare system, is not a healthcare system. It is an emergency management, drug administration, symptom suppression system. And I say that as a nurse working in the hospital, that this is my training. That this is what I'm actively participating in. Although for me, I choose on every day to help educate my patients as much as possible on how to empower themselves to be their own advocate for their own health, and to try to encourage people to take many steps towards better health, whatever they can do. So any step you can take towards decreasing toxic exposures in your life, increasing your supporting healthy water and good food, and getting enough sleep, decreasing your stress, all those things is going to make a big difference in how you feel. So I'm here to remind you that your body is working for you. It is not against you, it is for you, and everything your body does is actually working on your behalf. So even those symptoms that are annoying, and this is something that I have learned, because when I've had symptoms that are uncomfortable for me, my habit and practice has been to ask deeper questions like, why is my body doing this? What do I need to learn from this? What is the lesson? What is my body trying to say? Rather than assuming that my body is against me and that I need to somehow just make it go away, I do what I can to try to support my body in righting itself as much as possible. So I hope this was helpful. I'm so excited to be able to share this information with you, and I wish you so much love.